You found it. Your home for the best content on your favorite team, the Fighting Tigers of LSU. Do us a favor, subscribe to the channel, leave your comments below, and be sure to smash that like button.
Shea Dixon on Monday night broke the news that Kelvin Bolden, leaving his position as the director of recruiting strategy at Ole Miss for LSU as the Tigers' assistant general manager. So, a promotion for Kelvin Bolden. Naturally, wouldn't leave Ole Miss otherwise. But when I saw this, there's a few things that came to mind that I think are relevant as we sort of paint the picture of what LSU and what college staffs are going to look like as we move forward. And I hope this brings you some value as I kind of talk through this a little bit. So first of all, Bolden, I think, is a significant add. We'll start there. This is a guy who was very well respected there in Oxford, is from Mississippi, from Ocean Springs, played at Southern Miss, so a guy with Mississippi ties and very heavily connected in Mississippi. When you look at the fact that LSU has done an exceptional job recruiting Mississippi already, Tristan Keys, the 5-star receiver out of Hattiesburg, is committed to LSU. The top 2 offensive linemen in Mississippi for 2026 are committed to LSU. Tyler Miller, the number 1 offensive lineman in Mississippi in the 25 class, is currently an LSU Tiger. So you had another really key player in recruiting your border state, which is significant. But even more so, remember, Scott Woodward brought Austin Thomas back to LSU as the general manager. And we have to reframe what we think about that role from what it was to what it is. It's no longer just recruiting. When Ed Ogeron named Austin Thomas general manager nearly a decade ago now, and he became the first of its kind with that title in the SEC, there was no NIL, there was no rev share. At that point, it was just, he was sort of the figurehead of the recruiting effort from the staff standpoint. Now, it more closely resembles what an NFL general manager does in managing the roster and now NIL, rev share, how you distribute those funds, how you weigh those funds. And so if Austin Thomas is building a staff and goes back to guys he worked with at Ole Miss and was like, I need that guy, and you get him, that's significant. Remember, they did it back in April when they added Jai Shuderi, who was one of the analytics guys that had been on staff there at Ole Miss. He's now at LSU. Well, now you've added Kelvin Bolden as well as the assistant general manager. And I think one of the real key storylines this offseason at LSU has been staff turnover. Now, I think part of that is tightening the belt in the revenue share era. Remember, last year, LSU Athletics lost about $800,000. You operated in the black. So, excuse me, in the red. You lost money a year ago. About $800,000. Now, after losing money a year ago, you're going to add $20 million in expenses with revenue share? Well, you got to increase revenue and you got to decrease expenses. Well, part of decreasing expenses is getting rid of unnecessary personnel or personnel that are deemed expendable. And so what you've seen in the staff this year is a lot of this turnover. Jazz Smith was your operations man, your director of football operations. She exited, and they promoted J.R. Belton from within. Well, J.R. Belton, in being promoted, left vacant his director of recruiting title. They promoted Donovan Tate from within into J.R. Belton's old role. Remember, Nick Brissett, no longer part of the staff. Jacoby Stevens, no longer part of the staff. We saw Preston Tiffany leave for a job with the Philadelphia Eagles. We saw Jordan Arcemont leave for a job with one of the top sports agencies in the country. So, with Athletes First. So, you've seen a lot of turnover. And then you've seen the addition of some new staff members like Kelvin Bolden here and Jai Shuderi, who we just mentioned as well. But the tightening the belt is part of it. The other part is putting together a staff that can help you navigate building a roster in the rev share era. And this is one thing that I don't think many people have paid attention to yet. So if you rewind the clock about a year or so, Bayou Traditions, LSU's collective, hired Jared Wilson to be the president and kind of help run sort of the day-to-day operations of the collective. And he was on a one-year deal. And that deal was up July 1 because everyone was expecting the revenue share piece to come into play. And there was going to be an uncertain future for collectives. Well, Jared's contract wasn't renewed. So, and by the way, just full disclosure, Jared worked here with us at Guarantee in 2 different stints. His wife's a volleyball coach at LSU, Jill, and I know Jared very well. He had a great opportunity, took it for that year with LSU. Contract wasn't renewed. So the president of the collective is no longer there, but I did confirm today that the collective is still very much operational. And what was so interesting about the conversation wasn't just about the collective being operational. It's about what the collective's role is probably going to become. Because as we sit here and talk about revenue share, and we know these numbers, like these are hard and fast numbers. $20.5 million, 75% is going to football, that's $13.5 million. So LSU will allocate $13.5 million of that revenue share to its football roster that'll be divided among its scholarship players based on merit, right? However they seem fit. That's what Austin Thomas and his staff will do. But what hasn't gone away is high school NIL. And before you sigh and groan and roll your eyes, understand what I'm saying. High school NIL is very much legal. And because they're not college student athletes yet, those deals don't have to go through a clearinghouse. So, are you following me? So if you want to, school A identifies prospect B that they would like to sign, they could go do a NIL deal with that prospect while they're in high school, independent of rev share. So they can say, look, when you're on campus, you're going to get X rev share, but you commit to us now, we'll give you this in an NIL deal right now in high school. Like, that's something I know for a fact, firsthand, that LSU has been working on. I don't mind disclosing this. I had a meeting with Jordan Arcemont at LSU some months ago about using this show as part of the deliverables for a lot of these NIL deals. Like, student athlete A has an NIL deal, has to show deliverables. Okay, come on my show. They can promote whatever business they want. I don't care. What I want is the content. You're going to tell me you're going to sign a 5-star receiver and I can get him to sit next to me for 10 minutes on the show. My audience gets the content, but in exchange, they get to promote, wear a shirt, promote whatever business they're doing deals with. I'm all for that. Great, let's do it. So, point is, LSU has very much been thinking along these lines already in the high school NIL terms. Now, Jordan's now working for Athletes First, but the point being, the high school NIL component of this part is the thing that many people aren't talking about that could be the most significant next evolution of NIL. Are schools doing NIL deals with high school students to get them that cash before they show up to campus and rev share kicks in? And that's why managing all of this, you need whatever amount of staff you can have committed to making sure the money is there and it's allocated appropriately, in addition to the relationships built with the student athletes so they end up on campus. But then there's this whole other question of how much effort do you put into high school recruiting? How much effort do you put into transfer portal? And I think we're going to continue to see that evolve as we have a larger sample size. Like, LSU was reducing their portal classes every year under Brian Kelly, to where a year ago they signed nine portal members, and none of them were super impact guys. You had guys who played, but they weren't All-Americans, all-conference guys. Now you sign 18. You doubled your class. Why? And they're all impact guys. If you go win a championship, deep run playoff, whatever, and you did it on the backs of a team built through the portal, why am I wasting 3 years building teams with high school guys? Just go build another portal class the next year, and the next year, and the next year. I'm inverting that number. I'm reducing my high school nut, and I'm spending more of it on portal because that's what's shown is the way to win. Again, we don't know that definitively, but if it shows that and proves to be the case, why wouldn't you keep doing that? So you can look at this news, Kelvin Bolden coming over from Ole Miss, as they added another support staff member we'll probably never see publicly facing or hear from again. But the work they're doing is massively impactful because this is how rosters are being built now. Yes, it matters when coaches jump on planes and they go fly to see prospect X at his high school game and you build that relationship. Yes, that matters. I'm not minimizing that. But it's not the only thing that matters anymore in recruiting and building a roster in 2025 and beyond. Hey, thanks so much for watching. Please leave your comments. I love to interact. And be sure to hit the red subscribe button below.